Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Cristi. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, and our two daughters, Tatum, who is 13, and Delaney, who is nearly 10, and our tuxedo cat, Lilu, who is being very cute, sleeping right over there. And I'm hoping that she will stay sleeping throughout the podcast, since she was quite disruptive last week. You can find me on Ravelry as Cristi-Lael and on Instagram as Cristi-Lael without the dash. We also have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry where we talk about knitting, basically. And we have knit-alongs and giveaways. We are currently having our Autumn Accoutrements KAL, which has been going since mid-September and will finish December 22nd. So we're kind of wrapping that up, and you basically just knit any kind of accoutrement or accessory. I do have some prizes for that. I have to kind of go through them and figure out what exactly I'm going to put together. Kind of be like prize packs like I did with the Summer Solstice KAL, where hopefully there'll be a skein of yarn and a bag to be able to give to the chatter thread and to the FO thread. And I'm going to award the prizes in the new year. So the KAL will end on the 22nd as the rules state, but I won't be podcasting throughout that time because my parents will be here, my whole family will be here, and so I will do my last podcast this coming Saturday, which is the 16th, and that will be my last podcast for the year. I will come back on January 2nd or 3rd, and that is when I will kind of make all the announcements for winners for the KAL. So don't fret if you don't hear anything right after December 22nd. And then we will have another KAL that will start the first day of winter, which I believe is December 23rd. And it will go for the entirety of winter, so it'll go into February and or March. Yeah, March, mid-March. And I'm not entirely sure what that KAL is going to be yet, but it will be something grand. And not grand as in huge, but grand as in awesome. And I will announce that on Saturday as well. I've still got to, figure some things out and that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess that's all the administrative, although I would like to announce that this is basically my 1-year podiversary. I started my podcast, well, I used to have a booktube channel where I talked about books, and I did do 3 podcast type videos on that channel, but on December 14th I transferred them all over and I posted my first video on this channel. And so today's the 12th, it's practically my anniversary, and so I've been doing this for a whole year. And you know what, guys, I love it. I love it so much. I really, really enjoy doing this every week. And I want to thank you, those who have been with me from the beginning, and those who are new as well. Just thank you for watching, and for your awesome comments that I get every week, and just the love and support that I get from all of you. It really means a lot to me. You guys have really just you've added a depth to my knitting experience, and it's awesome. I absolutely love it. I am just shy of 1,700 subscribers, and I dig each and every one of you crazy cats. So I just wanted to thank you for, sticking with me. I really appreciate it. It's been quite an interesting year. I started podcasting here when we'd only been in Colorado for a couple of months, and We went through all kinds of things. You know, I had strep throat twice. I had flooded basements, and you know, my husband had a stroke in February, and we've just gone through a lot. It's meant a lot to have you guys along with me for that entire journey. So thank you. Okay, so I think that is all the administrative. Let's go ahead and get into FOs, and I have 3 FOs. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know what those 3 FOs are, but I'm going to show them anyway. So first thing that I finished was my Desert Vista Dye Works December socks. If you've been following me for this year, then you know that I have been working on the 3rd annual Sock of the Month Club through the Desert Vista Dye Works group on Ravelry. The rules were that you needed to knit 12 pairs of socks, 1 each month throughout the year, using Desert Vista Dye Works yarn. And I think that you could knit full-fingered gloves as well. I didn't really pay that close attention to the rules because I was only going to knit socks. But I knit a pair of socks each month, and I'll probably go over those on Saturday. I have to do some laundry. A lot of them are dirty, and I want to get them all clean before I show them to you. But this was my final pair, and I was allowed to do 1 pair, what they called Franken socks, or scrappy socks, and just mix up Desert Vista Dye Works scraps. So that is what I did. I showed this one last week. This is the first sock that I made. And just to reiterate, I knitted out of Woody, Second Helping, Buzz, and then Frosted Peeps, and I used Monopoly for the heel. And then I did the second sock, and I did not use as many colorways in this one, mostly because a lot of these had 5 or 6 colors in them, and so I only used 3 colorways instead of 4 like I did with this one. And I used Frederick and Jan and Dean, and then DVD logo, and then again I used the Monopoly for the heel. And I think it is really interesting that this part of the Monopoly heel had, you know, brown and yellow and a pinky red and purple, which really went well with all of these colors. And then when I got to this heel, it had blues and purples and greens, which went really well with these colors. I did not plan that, but it worked out perfectly. So these are done, and I have completed the entire KAL, and I am really kind of proud of myself. It was loads of fun. I don't think I'll do it next year, as I mentioned before, because I'm trying not to put quite as much pressure on myself to have to knit specific skeins each month, and so I have lots of yarn right above me. There's a shelf right here, and it has all my sock yarn on it, and a lot of it called to me this year, and I couldn't knit it, so I want to be able to do that. I'm primarily a mood knitter, and so it's really nice to be able to just pick what kind of strikes my fancy that day. So, but I did really enjoy this, and just to kind of go over it, I knit these with my normal recipe, Turkish toe-up cast-on. I did a true afterthought heel. I knit the leg pretty much as long as the foot, and then finished it off with 1x1 ribbing and Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off, and that is done. The next pair I finished was my Hippo for Thanksgiving socks, which is another kind of year-long KAL that I have been doing. And these were knit out of Lolo Did It in the Hippo for Thanksgiving colorway, with Sweetness for out of a Little Lolo for heels and toes. And somebody asked me on Ravelry the other day how much I need for heels, toes, and cuffs, and generally I can get heels and toes with slightly under 10 grams. But if I want to put cuffs in, I need slightly more than 15 grams. So if you have a 20-gram mini, then you should have plenty to do heels, toes, and cuffs. If you have a 10-gram mini, you're probably only going to be able to get out heels and toes, or heels and cuffs, or toes and cuffs, or yeah. So anyway, I knit these very similarly to the DVD ones, except for that I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel instead of an Afterthought heel, which is my the way I like it when I am knitting with a speckly or a variegated or a tonal yarn. Basically anything that's not stripy. I normally do a Fish Lips Kiss Heel. And love how these came out. I absolutely love this colorway so much. Lolo Did It has been doing her Hippo for the Holidays KAL this year. And you know me, I really like to complete a set and have, a full group of things, and so I was very much on board with this Hippo for the Holidays. Hers was a little bit different. It was only on Instagram, and you didn't have to knit a pair of socks each month. In fact, you didn't even have to knit a pair of socks. It could be anything that you knit out of a Hippo for the Holiday colorway, but you had to use, most of that skein, or a good portion of that skein, and it had to be completely out of Lolo Did It yarn. So over the year, I have knit a couple pairs of socks. I knit 2 hats, I believe, a cowl, and a pair of gloves. And it's been great fun, and because I didn't feel like I had to do it every single month, it did help a lot for me to be able to, well, I don't need to knit anything for May, so I'll knit it in June, and that worked out well. And I do have 2 more, so this is my 10th Hippo for the Holiday project this year, and I have 2 more that I'll show you in whips. I did mention last week that that I thought that Lauren at Lolo Did It had changed the KAL rules, and that I was going to have to get everything finished by December 31st of this year. And I apparently am a Diffendorfer and don't know how to read because I misread the instructions. I was looking at the KAL that she is having for next year. For next year, everything has to be finished by December 31st. This year we have until February 28th. So I cast on Hippo for Christmas and Hippo for Hanukkah in a rush that I showed you last week, and I was like, I have to get 5 pairs of socks done this month, yada yada yada, it's going to be so hard. I don't apparently have to do that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to. I have managed to get 3 of the 5 pairs done, and I still have, more than 2 weeks left in the month, so we'll see how it goes. But I do have to take a picture of everything in one photo, and so it would behoove me to get it all finished, because one of the things that I knit, I think it was the Hippo for Dad colorway, I knit into a hat for my brother. My brother will be here with the hat, but when he leaves right after New Year's, the hat goes with him. So if I want to get that photo, I need to kind of get these other pairs of socks done. But anyway, I will also go over that when I have all the projects here and finished. So anyway, Hippo for Thanksgiving completed. I love these socks. I'm so excited to be able to wear them now. This was one of my favorite colorways for the entire year, but you know me, I love orange, and this has like 3 different shades of orange and a really nice shade of green in there, so favorites. And then my final pair is in my Fox box of socks. And I wanted to show it to you in the box first before I put it on the sock blockers, just so that you could see the completed box of socks for 2017. So that is all done, and I'm really keen. Let me show you the socks, and the socks that I finished in December, and then I will go through all of the socks that I knit for this year, for that KAL. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over the socks in order from January, and then I will finish off with the December socks on the blockers. So, Box of Socks is a KAL that is run by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast, who also dyes for Volendvine Yarns. And it's basically, you just have to knit 12 pairs of socks. You don't have to knit them one a month. And you can knit them out of any yarn as long as they aren't shorty socks and as long as they are for you. I chose to pull out some of the oldest stripies that I had in my stash and knit them all up. So I pulled out 12 pairs of 12 skeins in January, and I just went with, here are the 12 here are the 12 skeins that I'm going to knit this year, and so each month I just picked from that bag of yarn, and I liked that. There was a couple of months where I wished that I could have knit a different pair, but now that I am done, I really am glad that I had done that, and I've already got my 2018 socks set out, yarn for my 2018 socks set out, and so I will go over that with you as well. But for this year, in January, I knit A Million Stars in the Dizzy colorway, and you'll notice there are a lot of A Million Stars in this this collection, and that is because I had a lot of hers in my stash. I ended up using all of it, and then I had to buy some more because I couldn't have a stash without A Million Stars in it. Here is the Million Stars Dizzy colorway. These are all knit with my basic recipe Turkish toe cast on, doing an afterthought heel and 1x1 ribbing with a super stretchy bind off. So I'm not going to go over that again. I'm going to go over it 12 times. Just know that that's what these all are. So this, as I said, this is A Million Stars in the Dizzy colorway. I absolutely love this colorway. The bright orange, and then the teal, and then the gray in between just makes me happy. And this was from stash. I stashed this in March of 2013, which isn't the oldest in my stash, or isn't the oldest one in this collection. But I did notice that most of the socks came from 2013. So that's January. February was knit with Snitches yarn in their Syncopation line, which is their stripies, and I love this colorway as well. There's lots of orange, lots of orange in my stash. The colorway is Lagoon, and I kind of liked the kind of odd way that the striping pattern worked, and I had a lot of fun knitting these. This yarn was stashed in September of 2012, which still isn't my oldest. But I've been waiting all year to wear these socks. In March, I knit Delectable Yarns, and this is an MCN. I don't normally make MCN socks, but how could I not make socks out of this? I mean, look at the purple stripes, with bright yellow heels and toes and cuffs. And this is, the colorway is Wild Violet, and this is my oldest stashed yarn. Not anymore, but it was when I knit these. These came, I got this yarn in June of 2011, so this is like 6.5 years old, this yarn. So glad that I was finally able to knit it up, and I am so excited to wear these socks. April brought us another Million Stars yarn, and this is in the colorway Bitter Moon, and you might be able to notice that I offset the stripes on this one. I really enjoy being able to do that sometimes, especially with big, thick stripes. I love, okay, I'm going to stop saying that. Just know that I love every one of these colorways. I wouldn't have it in my stash if I didn't love it, right? I stashed this skein in December 2012. Oh, such fun socks. You guys have to understand that I have spent a whole year just coming into my library / yarn / guest room and looking at these socks just sitting there. They've been waiting for me for a long time, especially these first few pairs, and so it's so exciting for me to be able to finally know that I can take them out of the box and I can wear them now. It's going to be great. In May, I knit Manic Pixie Dream yarn. Whew, that was hard. In the colorway Cloudy with a Chance of Rainbows. It's so much fun knitting these. And this was stashed in March of 2015. So this is actually one of the newest yarns. In fact, I think Yes, this is the most recent yarn that I did this year for this collection. But it was still nice. I was still, you know, almost 3 years old, and so it's nice to get it out of my stash and knit it up. And I had no idea it was going to look like this when it was in the skein, so I was that much more excited when I was finally knitting it and saw how pretty it really knit up to be. And she is a local dyer. I think she's in Colorado Springs, so I need to see if I can't get my hands on more of her yarn. June, I knit Biscotte yarns. I've been calling it Biscotti yarns, but I think it's actually Biscotte. I don't remember where I learned that, but somebody said it was Biscotte. And it's in French. It's like Princesse et les 7 Maises, M-A-I-L-E-S, which every time I look at it, I think it's supposed to be like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or the Princess and the Seven Dwarfs, but I don't know what M-A-I-L-E-S is. I did try to, like, Google it for a translation, but it didn't come out right. So anyway, this is out of that yarn, and I stashed this in September of 2014, and it was the first time that I have knit Biscotte yarns, and I have another skein up there, and so I'm looking forward to maybe knitting that in 2018. In July, I knit Cannon hand dyes in the Slytherin colorway, and this is another one that I'd had for so long, and I'd always wanted to knit it, but I just never brought myself to, and so I'm so glad that I did. I stashed this in April 2013, and kind of, I knew them when type of a thing. Amy Lee, who dyes Cannon hand dyes, is like, her company is just taking off, and she's amazing. But I knew her when she first started. I knew her through Ravelry. I haven't ever met her in person, but we were in the same swap groups on Ravelry, and I remember when she was first starting out with dyeing, and in fact I even got a custom dye job when she was still learning how to do stripes, or figuring out how to do stripes, and I have a pair of socks that I knit out of her yarn, out of that custom yarn. I need to get some more Cannon hand dyes. I feel like I've kind of let her down because I haven't bought as much as I really should. But the unfortunate thing is that there are so many great indie dyers out there, and you know, there's only so much money in the bank. But I do want to buy more Cannon hand dyes in the coming year. August was another super duper fun pair. This was Blueberry Pie Studios, and the colorway is My Box of Crayons. Rainbow, all the rainbow. And I love, yeah, it's so awesome. I stashed these in February of 2013, and it's another one that I only had the one skein. I only ever got the one skein. Same with Manic Pixie Dream Yarn. Only ever had the one skein, and I really need to look them up and see if I can't get some more, because I really enjoyed knitting this pair of socks. So, one of the things that I had wanted to do in 2017 was support more indie dyers, and I'm proud to say that I have done that. I have bought a lot more indie yarn, both through the dyer itself and through my local yarn shop, which is Colorful Yarns in Centennial. Tiffany, the owner, I've said it before, is amazing for bringing in a plethora of indie dyers to choose from. So I've been able to really support both indie dyers through these both these different avenues this year, and I've really liked being able to do that, and so it's something that I want to continue doing in 2018, and so it's fun. I love supporting small business. I love supporting indie artists, and I'm really looking forward to it for 2018 because I should be gainfully employed, which means that there should be more money to put into the yarn budget, and that means I can support even more. September was another A Million Stars skein, and this colorway is Electric Boogaloo. Such a fun name. And I used the same yellow I believe, for the Wild Violet Delectable Yarns for the KALs on this. These were so much fun to make. I stashed this yarn in October of 2013. Lots of 2013 yarns this year, and that's awesome. October was also A Million Stars, and that is We're All Mad Here, that colorway. Such a great colorway. And you'll notice that I offset the stripes on this one as well. So I started the first sock with red, the second sock with blue, and I thought it worked out well for an Alice-inspired colorway to have the socks be just a little bit off, right? This was stashed in March of 2013. And one of my regrets is when I had originally gotten this, I had gotten 2 skeins. They were, it was part of a swap package that I was in, and the original plan was that I was going to knit them into knee socks, and since then we got into a spot where money was a little bit tight, and I needed, you know, to raise some funds for some kind of an emergency. I think it was when our dog was sick, and so I sold off the second skein, and so I never got to make knee socks out of it, but at least I did finally knit it and made it into socks. And then you all should remember November socks, since I only knit them just a few weeks ago. This was White Iris in the Strawberry Lemonade colorway, and I stashed this in May of 2013, and these were fun to knit as well. Yeah, it's a bummer that she doesn't dye anymore, because she was a pretty talented stripey dyer. She did super long stripes for hats, and I knit a sock head hat. Let's see if I can put a picture up here. And I loved it because a lot of the times you want stripes for your hats, but if you use sock stripe yarn, you know, figure weight yarn that is striped for socks, then the stripes on the hat are too short. And these she did specially long stripes, so you got nice big thick stripes for the hat. And I really wish that I had gotten an opportunity to get some more of her hat stripes, because I could have made so many hats with it. If you are, oh, she also did, and it's another thing that that she did, is she did DK weight, you know, heavier weights with stripes as well, which was fairly unheard of back when she was dyeing these. And I made another sock head hat out of DK weight yarn. It's right here. I wish that I looked better in the sock head hat, because I got some really cool ones. And again, yeah, I only had the 1 skein. Kind of wish that I'd gotten more. But there you go. If you are a stripey indie dyer, then yeah, let me know if you ever decide to dye extra long stripes for hats, because I would love that. My brother has asked for a stripey sock head hat, and I don't want to make manual stripes for him, so I haven't made it for him. But I know he would love it. And then finally, my December pair for my box of socks. Another Million Stars. This is the colorway Turned Right Round. So that is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs were made out of Million Stars yarn. I stashed these in March of 2013. I love this colorway so much. And yeah, it was fun to make, and that is the completed box of socks. 12 different pairs, all knit, never worn, so pretty, so colorful, and they all go into my drawer today. I'm super excited about this. I lamented having to wait at the beginning of the year. I was like, oh man, I just knit these socks in January and February, and I gotta wait another 10 months before I can wear them, and but I'm really glad that I did wait, because it's so exciting to put 12 new pairs in my drawer and know that they're ready. They're just waiting for me. And they're all pretty. So there's my empty Fox box. But it won't be empty for long because I will knit a new pair of socks in January. And I will keep them in this box, and I am looking forward to being able to start again. And I know I mentioned this before, but for 2018's box of socks, I will be knitting them completely out of Knitterly Things Vesper sock, because I have so many in my stash. This is the indie dyer that I own the most of right now. And a lot of that is because I was in her Rainbow of the Month club this year, and so I've gotten 12 skeins, and I think I had like 4 or 5 already in my stash. I've knit 1 or 2 this year. But yeah, these are the 12 that I will be picking from. Most of them are older. Some of them, let's see, I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are from the Rainbow of the Month club. The rest of them were already ones that I had in my stash. So I guess I had more than 5 or 6. Math. What do you think I am, an accountant? Anyway, so I will just be picking from these, and you will see them as I knit them. They're going to go, they're separate from, I've segregated them from the rest of my fingering stash, so that I know that these ones are set aside for the box of socks, and yeah, I'm excited to get started with that. And then for 2019, I already have my plans for 2019. Last week I was talking about how I really love Amy's idea, Amy at Stranded, her idea of knitting 12 pairs of socks, or no, sorry, 12 on the brain, 25 pairs of Christmas socks. And I was lamenting the fact that I don't really need the pressure of trying to knit 25 pairs of Christmas socks because I don't have the stash. I think I have 5 holiday-themed colorways in my stash right now, so I would have to buy another 20, and, you know, I'm trying to be careful about my purchases, you know, and you know, I would have to buy so many of them right now because it's Christmas. It's when all the indie dyers are putting out their Christmas colorways, and I can't just buy them throughout the year, unless I find them in D-Stash, which I will try to do. But I also don't want to have all the pressure next year of trying to have to knit, you know, all these other KALs. And so a friend and viewer sent me a message with some ideas, and they suggested that I spend 2018 trying to kind of collect some of those Christmas colorways, and then in 2019 use that as my box of socks, because I will have 12 pairs. And then maybe in 2020 doing the same thing. So between 2019 and 2020 I will knit just Christmas socks, and by the end of 2020 I should have, you know, my 25 pairs of holiday socks, because I will already be I'm already knitting, you know, some this year. So I think that's where I'm going to go. So I'm going to spend, you know, this next year coming up trying to get my hold of some Christmas colorways, at least 12, so that I will have that set up for my box of socks for 2019. I know that's way far in advance, and who knows what's going to happen between now and then, but that is my plan for right now. So, and then in regards to Lolo Did It, she is doing another Hippo for the Holidays next year, and she said that some of the colorways will be new. So I don't expect that I'm going to knit all of them. I'm probably not going to repurchase the Hippo colorways that I've already purchased. So if she puts out Hippo for Dad, and that's one of the Hippo for the Holidays colorways for 2018, I'm not going to buy that and knit it again. But I will probably get all the Hippo colorways that are new for 2018. Like the first one that she's putting out for 2018 is Hippo for New Year's, which I have already purchased and will hopefully be here soon. So I will buy all, I will get and knit all the new hippo colorways, but I'm not going to put the pressure on myself to knit all of the hippo colorways next year. So there you go. All right, was that enough blathering for you guys? That is my FOs. Let's go ahead and get into my whips. Well, as I mentioned several times already, I have hippo for Christmas and hippo for Hanukkah on the needles. I cast them on just before my podcast last week, thinking that I was going to have them all done by the end of December, and then I just learned today that I'm a Diffendorfer. Although, no, that's not true. I've always known I'm a Diffendorfer. But it was reiterated, my Diffendorferness. So, anyway, I have hippo for Christmas. Not very much of it, and this is only the first sock. I'm about halfway through the foot. So I will be working on these, this next week, and hopefully I will have one pair done by the time I podcast on Saturday. We'll see. But I am liking this Christmas colorway, and this will be my first of my 25 Christmas socks. So that will be done, and it will be fun. Well, it'll be the first one unless I finish hippo for Hanukkah. And I am going to wear these for my 25 pairs of Christmas socks because I can, even though it's not the Christmas holiday, it's the Hanukkah holiday, but that's okay. I figure we can meld them together. So this is Lolo Did It in Hippo for Hanukkah with an Elba Island heel-toe skein, and I didn't mention this is Hippo for Christmas with a Shamrock heel-toe skein, and you can see that I am almost exactly in the same spot with each sock. And this one has little mittens as the Progress Keeper, and I just use that as adornment. This one has a little candy cane. This is what came with one of my Adelaide Cottage Advent bags. So a little candy cane Progress Keeper. And yeah, that is all the sock whips that I have. I do have my hat whip, and I have made some progress on it, although not enough progress. I'm knitting the Treccia hat by Michelle Wong. I'll post a picture of what it's supposed to look like here. It's a fun hat, but it is quite an involved cable. It's not intuitive, and so I can't just, like, I have to really pay attention to the chart, and the chart repeats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times throughout the hat, and I really have to kind of pay closer attention, and so it's a slow going process. But I have, what am I on? I'm on row 36 of an 86 row pattern, but the decreases for the crown happen at like row 66. So I got about 30 rows of full cabling left to do. And here is what I've got so far. I know it is so hard to see. I'm so sorry about that, but this is a dark color yarn. Let's get a close-up. There you can see it's a gorgeous cable. It really, really is. But it is just, it's just really involved. There's a lot to it. So it's just taking some added attention. I did spend some time up here over the weekend and worked on it while I was listening to an audiobook. And I will get through it, but I just don't know if I'm going to be finished with it by Saturday. We'll see. We'll just see how it goes. But I am knitting this out of Bijou Basin Ranch in the Himalayan Summit, which is 50% yak down and 50% superfine merino. It knits like heaven. It's so soft. And I do have a skein of this with like a whole prize package that is going on right now. The giveaway is going on in the Ravelry group. So go ahead and enter. Make sure that you post your comments in the Ravelry group, not here on the video. Yeah, it needs to be in the Ravelry group, in the thread. It's just listed, Bijuvation Ranch giveaway, and you just have to be a member of the Ravelry group, a subscriber to the podcast, and tell me what you would knit with it if you won the skein. And I will be awarding that prize next week, or on Saturday rather, when I do my final podcast for the year, and hopefully I will be done with this hat by then. I will still give my review. I think I have knit enough of it to be able to tell you what my thoughts are. Spoiler alert, it's all going to be good. I'm loving this yarn. So anyway, that will happen on Saturday, and I will name the winner in that podcast. So yeah, I think I'm about, I'd say, 30 to 40% of the way through this hat. And I am enjoying it. It is a good knit, and the yarn is amazing, and I am really looking forward to having this hat to wear in January. And that is all my whips. I still haven't made any progress on my pumpkin spice latte mitts. I do apologize if you're excited to see those. I completely failed, but they're going to have to wait until after I finish this hat. And hopefully I'll have those done in January as well. We'll see how it goes. So I guess we'll go into yarn haul. I have a decent yarn haul. I'll start with my advent calendar. I've been getting the, I purchased the advent calendar through Adelaide Cottage on Etsy, and it's just been really fun. I tend to gravitate towards bright, flashy colors. You know me. I love bright, happy colors. I love orange, and so I kind of went a different route with this advent calendar, because Adelaide Cottage, she tends to deal more with kind of muted, kind of classier, I guess, colorways, and I'm really glad that I did. None of these are like in your face, but they're all so gorgeous in their subtlety. So I'm really, really enjoying it. So I got this colorway. This is Knitworthy, and this is in her MCN base, which is nice, and it's kind of a minty green with some pink flecks in it. Next, in her Golden Twinkle base, I got Wind Me a Cake. Really enjoy this colorway. And one of those came with a little bag of twinings. Thanks for everybody who told me how to say that. In pumpkin spice chai. I'm excited to try that. Then I got this beautiful blue tonal in her Platinum Twinkle. So this one is gold stellina, this one is silver stellina, and the colorway is Snowball Fights. Such a pretty blue. Then I got Earl Grey in the MCN base. It's a beautiful gray with some purples and blues, and it came with a Twinings Earl Grey flavor bag. And then Knit Happens in the Platinum Twinkle. And Here Comes the Sun, which is probably my favorite so far. And this is in her MCN. It's like a greeny blue base with a pretty orange in it. And I love, well, let me go over the last one. Lastly, so far, I've gotten Cinnamon Apple in her Toasty sock base, and that came with I'm assuming this is going to be a Cinnamon Apple saltwater taffy. And what I really love about her Advent is that she's chosen to do it out of all of her bases. So I think these are handmade minis, and it really gives you an opportunity to see all of her fingering weight bases. So I know exactly which base I'm going to want to order from, or order when I order from her. So yeah, these are the 7 that I've gotten in the past week. Really having fun with this Advent. And we're halfway through Advent. Today was the 12th, so we have until the 24th. And then on Christmas Day, I get to open up the full skein. And I'm really excited about it. I am kind of hoping that that it is going to be a Christmas colorway, like, you know, full-on Christmas, you know, Christmas colors. You know what Christmas colors are. I'm really hoping that that is what she's done with this, mainly because that will give me one more skein for my Christmas Advent socks. We'll see. Next, I got some yarn from my local yarn shop, which again is Colorful Yarns in Centennial. The place that they have Knit Night is in this side room, and they also keep the sale yarn in there, which is genius marketing, because you're sitting in there and you're knitting and you're looking at all the sale yarn. And I happen to look at this skein of Shibui in the Silk Cloud, which is 60% kid mohair, 40% silk. Look at this color, guys. Look at this color. This is in jumpsuit colorway. I love it. So they've had like a sweater's quantity of this in the sale bins for weeks and weeks. And this is a very Cristi orange. And I've wanted it. But come on, who am I kidding? I'm never going to knit myself a mohair sweater. Just not going to do it. I would just itch all over the place. But I have had my eye on knitting a mohair hat. So I got this one, and then I got this skein, which is in the same colorway, jumpsuit, and this is Shibui Staccato, and it is 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. It was also very soft and luxurious, and so I'm going to hold them double and knit myself a hat in January probably. I'm not entirely sure which pattern I'm going to knit, but I am looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be great. I may end up having to get another skein of Staccato. The mohair has like 330 yards. It's lace. Staccato is fingering, but it's only got 191 yards, so I got to kind of be careful about what pattern I pick. Like, I can't do, well, I was going to say I can't do cables, but you wouldn't want to knit cables with mohair anyway. You wouldn't see them with all the fuzziness. But I'm not a big fan of lace hats either, so I'll find something. But yeah, I'm going to hold these together and make myself just a bright, bright orange hat. People will see me coming for miles. Next for the haul, if you're on Instagram, you may have seen the Yarn Wishes thing. It was big last year, and I was really new to podcasting. As we mentioned, this is my year anniversary, and so I kind of missed out. I didn't clue into what it was. I wasn't very active on Instagram at the time, and it wasn't until it was over that I kind of figured out what it was, and so I really wanted to be a part of it this year. So when I saw somebody post some Yarny Wishes, I granted, and the idea is that you grant a wish and then you post wishes. And so I did that. I granted a wish. Somebody was wishing for stranded yarn, and so I sent some to her, and then I posted just asking for, you know, an indie dyed yarn that I hadn't tried before. And I kind of gave some suggestions. And Kristen was just amazed me. She granted really quickly, and then she completely spoiled me, sent me way too much, and so I just thank you. I've thanked you in real life, or you know, through the Instagram app, but I want to thank you again so much for your generosity. It was really way too much, but I do really appreciate it. She sent me 2 indie dyers that I had never heard of or tried before. One is local to her, and it is Behind the Pines in their Lily base, which is a 75-25 merino blend, and the colorway is I-75 Yarn Crawl 2017 exclusive. So I guess this is something that you got if you were on the Yarn Crawl. And this is the perfect colorway to knit a hat for Tatum. So I have that skein. of DK from Creative Obsession that I showed you guys last week that will knit a hat for Delaney, and this one is great for Tatum. And so thank you so much, Kristen, because this is going to be a perfect hat for my daughter. And I will be probably knitting it up here pretty soon because it's starting to get chilly in the mornings. And then another indie dyer that she sent that I hadn't heard of is O Loops. And this is in a sparkle base. It is 75 merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. And the colorway is Professor Minerva McGonagall. Which, Harry Potter reference. Of course I'm going to love it. This is such a great colorway. I love all these colors. Anything with gray in it is going to make me happy. And this kind of teal and the yellow is great. And I really like this kind of light burgundy. Yeah, it's just it's a really good colorway. And so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to make with this. We're going to have to see. Like, the sock knitter in me is like, oh, socks. But maybe I should save, because it's so pretty, maybe I should save it for something a little bit more special. We'll see. Then she was so awesome, and she sent me a skein of nomadic yarns. This is in the Brit sock, which is 80% BFL, 20% nylon, and the colorway is Anne with an E. And as we know, I just got my first nomadic yarns the other day. And I'm super excited to knit it. I am also super duper excited to knit this one. This has got all the Cristi Happy colors in it. And you know what? It's fairly masculine, so I may be able to knit it into a pair of socks for Ron. I've heard BFL is a pretty good, strong wearing yarn, and he kind of slightly complained when he was looking through my stash for yarn for him that all the stripes that I have are not his colors, and so I could knit this for him. So we'll see how that goes. It depends on if I'm willing to give it up and not make it into socks for me. And then lastly, this blew my mind. She sent me an Andre Sue Knits sock blank. Oh my gosh! I'm so excited. I wanted one of these for ages, but never could catch an update, or when I did have the time, I didn't have the funds, and so I'm super duper excited about this. It's a little gnome. I love gnomes, and it's great colors. I'm going to absolutely love knitting up these socks. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. I think I have to have this just in my stash for a little bit to be able to admire. I love this. I love sock blanks. You guys know me. I really enjoy knitting socks from sock blanks. And Andre Sue, because she hand paints all of these, it's just adds to that. So, Kristen, again, thank you so much. That was such a generous wish grant. You spoiled me completely, and I just appreciate you so much. I can't say thank you enough. And another amazing spoily thing, I got a surprise package in the mail this week from Carrie of the Creative Obsession, who is like my podcasting BFF. I completely dig her and watch her podcast the minute they come up. So much fun chatting back and forth with her through the internet and through the phone, and she's just an awesome, awesome person. And she is also real life friends with Michelle and Leslie of the Naughty Knitwits podcast. It's another podcast that I watch and absolutely love. The other day they were showing Christmas gifts that they had gotten, and they both got a handmade notebook, sewn notebook cover from Carrie, and I was looking at them and I was like, that is so cool. It would be great to keep my notes in for the podcast, and how much fun is it that they have their own personalized notebook covers, and I wonder if I can talk Carrie into making one for me, and we're like, maybe I could work out a trade with her or purchase one. And then just the other day I had a package and it was from her, and I'm like, I didn't order any yarn from her recently. She made me my own! Ah! I love it, and look at how orangey it is. I love the fabric that she used so much. So yeah, it's a notebook cover, and you have your notebook. Oh, I think I've got it upside down. No, I don't. I don't have it right side up. And it's got a little built-in bookmark, and it's awesome. And you can take it off and reuse it in other notebooks when you're finished with it. So this is what I will be keeping all of my yarny podcast notes in, and I love it. Look at how awesome, I'm looking at it in the little screen. Look at how awesome this color is. This fabric is amazing. Thank you so much, Carrie. I really appreciate that you made this for me. It was such a lovely surprise. So nice. So nice. Okay. That is all of the yarn content for this podcast. I think I have gushed enough. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into reading. Let's see. I was finishing up the Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand last week, and I did finish it, and I took it back to the library, so I don't have it with me anymore. Again, it was a really good idea. I don't know that it was executed as well as it could have been. I think that I would have liked the story to be slightly different, but I did enjoy it. It was nice, light, holiday, contemporary, and it was fun. So yeah, but it's one of those times when I'm glad that I borrowed the book from the library instead of purchasing it, because I don't think that I would have kept it. And then after that, I picked up Vampires in the Lemon Grove by Karen Russell. And this is a book that I had on my shelf for a long time. In fact, I had 2 copies of it. I didn't realize that I'd had the second copy, or the first copy rather, and then I got this at a library sale. And so I had 2 copies, and I was like, well, I'll have to figure out which one I want to keep, because only weirdos keep more than 1 copy on their shelves. I have like 4 copies of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, just simply because they put out them in different covers all over the world. Yes, I'm that person. Anyway, so I was listening to this on audio. I borrowed the audiobook from the library. It is a collection of short stories, and let me say, I am not really good with short stories in general. I feel like I don't have enough time to kind of get into the characters before the story is over. And so I struggle with short stories, but I thought, being on audio, that'll be a little bit more pleasant. And it was. And the narrators, they had different narrators for each story, and that was nice as well. And the narrators did a good job, but I just wasn't getting into it. I just wasn't enjoying it. I listened to 4 stories, and I found that I just wasn't enjoying it very much. So I decided to DNF, which is do not finish this book, and I'm not going to keep it. I don't think that I will ever read it again. So both copies are going to be traded in at my local used bookstore. And hopefully somebody else will find them and love them. After I finished, after I decided to DNF that, I picked up my library audiobook copy of this. This is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. This was so much fun, guys. So this is one of those, I know I mentioned with The Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh that you should not listen to that on audio because the narrator just totally killed the story. But this is one where you should listen to it on audio because the narrator did a phenomenal job. Words are hard. And Libba Bray, who is the author, also did the narration, and she just did, it added so much to it. Highly, highly recommend this on audio. This is the story of, it's the contestants for Miss Teen Dream, which is kind of like a Miss America type pageant, only it's with teens, and there is a representative from each state in the United States, and their handlers and cameramen and whatnot, and they're flying somewhere, and the plane crashes, and the survivors are only a handful of the Miss Teen Dream contestants, and they're on this deserted island. And it was, what do you do what happens when a bunch of beauty contestants crash on a deserted island? What happens there? So it is very satirical. It is very tongue-in-cheek. It is completely, joking, taking all the stereotypes and making fun of them. So you need to keep that in mind. But I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and there was several times where I laughed out loud. And again, Libba Bray did a great job with the audiobook. I cannot recommend enough that you listen to this book. I know that if I had read it in physical form, I probably would have still loved it, but I loved it even more because of the audio version. So, yeah, absolutely joyous time reading this book. The next audiobook I picked up is a little bit more serious. It is How to Save a Life by Sarah Zarr, and I'm about 60 pages in. This is the story of two teens. One is Jill, whose dad has just passed away, and she's really trying to figure out how to kind of live this new life, post her father. And she's just found out, I think she's a young adult. She's like 17, 18, 19 years old. And she has just found out that her mom is planning on adopting a baby. I think kind of to fill that hole in her life after her husband has passed away. And then you have Mandy, who is a teen pregnant mom, pregnant teen, and is the one that the adoption is coming from. The baby is her baby. And Jill is not keen on the idea, and Mandy has some kind of secrets that she's not really telling, and so I have a feeling that those two are going to be very interlocked throughout this story. As I said, I'm only 60 pages in, so I don't have a lot of information yet, but I am enjoying it. It does have two different narrators for the two characters, and I do like that. It does help give each character their own voice, and yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to be heartwarming and less heartbreaking. We'll see how it goes. Oh, and it's set in Denver, which is cool. In Denver in the winter, so I'm able to really kind of get a kick out of that. I know where that is, and oh, it's that temperature today too. And then for physical books, I am still reading Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. I am a little bit over halfway, and this is a second read for me. I am enjoying it as much as I did the first time. I'd forgotten that this was set at Christmas, so it is a perfect book to be reading right now. And it is set at Christmas in New York, and it's super duper fun. Lily leaves a notebook, at the Strand, which is a bookstore, and Dash comes across it, and it sends him on a bit of a scavenger hunt through the bookstore, and then gives him a dare to put in the book, and then to leave it with somebody, and then he in return puts his own dare, which causes Lily to have to go someplace, and they go back and forth, and it's super fun and light and just kind of makes you feel happy. It's a rom-com. It's a definite rom-com, and it'd be better than some of those other Christmas rom-coms that you have seen through some of these movies that they have from the Hallmark Channel and whatnot. And then after I finish that, I will read its sequel, which is The 12 Days of Dash and Lily. And I don't really remember. I read this a couple of years ago. I don't really remember how it ends. I believe it ends positively. So we'll see where this one goes. I haven't read the synopsis because I don't want to have this reading spoiled for me, even though I've already read it once. As I said, I don't really remember. And yeah, that is all that I've got going on for books right now. So we'll see where I am come Saturday. After that, reading's going to slow down quite a lot when my whole family's here. I don't get to listen to any audiobooks when my family's here because I never am alone. Whenever I have to run errands, somebody will always go with me, and so I have to see if I can get through How to Save a Life before my family gets here, I might have shot myself in the foot by not picking a shorter book. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, okay, that is it for me today. I am going to clean. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm going to clean up my mess, and then I am going to go eat lunch. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy your evening, and happy knitting. Bye.